I was raised in an upper middle class neighborhood in Seattle, Washington by my Native American grandfather. I attended public schools with Native Americans. I was friends with Native Americans. I even went to prom with a Native American. So when I moved here, I didn't understand it. It was very different. Natives live and work and go to school on the reservations. It seemed to me that there was no integration of the cultures. When prepping for this speech, as we all did, I tried to find some research to back this up, and this proved to be very hard. So before I went any further, I decided that I actually should speak to a South Dakota Native American to see if they felt the same way, or if this was just my perspective. So I called the Sisseton tribe. I explained the subject of my speech and what I had noticed moving here. The secretary knew who I should speak to. Elijah is half Native American and half white. He left the reservation at a very young age, and he spent most of his formative years in boarding schools, and he's lived all over the country. He now works on the tribal board. He confirmed that what I was seeing and feeling, that Native Americans are segregated in South Dakota, and there is much racial tension that still exists. I wanted to know why. Segregation in South Dakota. Are non-Native Americans the reason for the segregation, or are Native Americans wanting to be segregated? And if so, why? Off the plane after high school and before he in the Sioux Falls airport. First getting off the plane, I remember everyone stopping and staring. And he stopped and he asked someone, "Why does everyone stare at me here?" He feels the same way today. When he's off the reservation, he prefers to do his shopping in North Dakota. I asked Elijah when he lived in different states if he felt that way, or if he only felt that way in South Dakota. He felt when he lived in other states, he was treated just like any other person going about their business. No one stopped and stared. I asked Elijah if he had experienced any other racial tension. He told me it's mostly this feeling that you get. When you're off the reservation, people will just kind of stop and watch you as you shop. It makes you feel like you're an alien. Based on my personal observations and reinforced with my research with a credible source within the Native American culture, I've confirmed that segregation still does exist in South Dakota. I asked Elijah why he thought there was more segregation in South Dakota than in other states. He thinks several factors are involved. He asked me when was the last time I watched Kelloland and there was a positive story about reservations and Native Americans. I stopped and thought about it. I couldn't remember the last time I heard a positive story on Kelloland. When was the last time you guys heard a positive story on Kelloland about Native Americans? When's the last time you remember hearing about a negative story about Native Americans on Kelloland? His second reason. South Dakota is 84% white. The residents of South Dakota don't see people from other cultures or ethnicities very often, so they're very unfamiliar with different people. They're unsure of how to their fault, he explained. They haven't been presented with the opportunity to become more comfortable with different races. Lastly, he added the stereotype that all Native Americans don't work, have no education, and are alcoholics. Like all stereotypes of cultures, they continue to feed the untrue ideals of the culture. We all know the history of Native Americans in South Dakota. We all know the story of hate crimes that have happened in South Dakota. Along with the natives feeling that when they leave the reservation, they endure the staring and the whispering, Elijah feels they feel more comfortable around their own people. In conclusion, I have two main topics. Does segregation of Native Americans exist in South Dakota? 2. Why does it exist in South Dakota? The next time we're out shopping or going to the movies, instead of staring, try smiling.